Howdy. Well, it's a rainy day on the ranch. And so in days like this, I would be out doing fencing, but I'm not able to. So I always have some extra jobs lined up of things I want to do for days like this. So you'll kind of hear the rain in the background as things are going. But I have a John Deere 5055e. And so one thing about this tractor is it didn't have front floodlights. It has like these really like headlight lights in the front, which aren't so good at all for seeing in the dark. So the back is fabulous. You know, from John Deere, they come with these floodlights. But if you want them for the front, you've got to pay extra money to have those lights put on. So you can buy the kits from John Deere, but I bought some from Amazon for like 20 bucks. And so these ones are 36 watts LED each, the white LED, as you can see here. And so they put out quite a bit of light. So I'm going to show today how to install these lights, since there really wasn't any videos that I could find on how to do this. Alright, I like to always know the tools ahead of time before I start the job, so I wanted to kind of review that. What you're going to need for the job are just these pieces here. So you'll need one Allen wrench. This is to take off the light, and I don't know if you can see on that, it's 3/16 is the size, 3/16. Then you're also going to need a, well, you can use a socket if you prefer. I found it easier with this to be able to get in there and tighten it up once I put it in place. And so that may not adjust well, but that's a 10mm. Then you are going to need a wrench. This is 9/16. So it doesn't have to be like a brake line wrench, but I'm using one. It actually helped for me getting in that tight spot and then didn't have to worry about it slipping. And the last is a T25. So you're going to need the T25, and this is to take off the plate on the top to give you access to the electrical area. Now the light itself, really one of the cool features about it is that it had the right size bolt. So this is the correct bolt, thread and everything to go right into the roof panel of that John Deere tractor. So I didn't have to buy any different bolt. You're basically just not going to use this piece. No drilling's required. No electrical splicing is required, which is something that I really appreciate. I'm always hesitant. You never know when you might trade something in, and you don't want to have some kind of rigged item. I hate buying things like that, and I hate selling stuff that's been that way. So there does come with some washers, including a lock nut washer, so that when you tighten that up above, I've started to pre-assemble. So before I go up and start to put it together, what I found was easier was putting one of the bolts in on each side, and that way when I go now, I just can screw this to the top, and then I'll get those last two bolts after it's already up there. Otherwise, it just seemed like it was really hard to get it all lined up with those teeny bolts, and then you're up on the tractor and you're dropping it, and it's just a hot mess. So I did the first one, kind of figured that out the first way. As far as these electrical pieces here, if you look, it's not just loose wire, it's actually kind of like soldered wire, so it's really hard. And so when you open up the top of the John Deere, you're going to see that you can buy like one of the special fittings for it. Instead though, I found that this fits perfectly in. And you slide that in, it's a really tight fit, tighter than if you use some electrical connectors. So then you can wrap it with electrical wire if you're concerned, and you'll be all set. You don't have to splice or cut anything. Alright, so let's get up above that tractor. Alright, so I'm now up on top of the tractor. Really, I just have a ladder leaning against the tractor itself. This is the access to the electrical panel for this right hand side, and then there's the light here. So we're going to take that light off, which there's bolts underneath, 2 bolts. That's that Allen wrench. And then we'll run the wire right here. There's a little notch because it's made to do this if you had bought the dealer kit. And then it'll bolt up right under here. See that? It'll bolt up perfectly using that same bolt. So I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm going to open up this panel. Alright, so to loosen this panel, you're going to use that star. And it may be, one thing I found was these were like scary loose. So I'm glad I came up here to tighten these down. after I'm done anyways. But you can use it and ratchet it off, or I'm just doing it by hand by spinning it because they were that loose. So you'll completely take these 3 bolts out. All right, now I have the 3 bolts out. So sometimes though, it's going to be pretty tight, and that's designed to be that way so that water doesn't get in here, or rain, when it's raining, or if you're washing it. So that way you might just need a little screwdriver, just pop it right off. So when you get inside here, you are looking for a specific set because of the fact that it'll be tied to the correct electrical outlet. So the one you want is this one here. It's purple. I don't know if you can see that. It's purple and black. And so those other wires are going to fit perfectly into those 2 spots. And again, you can buy the specific plug for this, but it's a really tight fit, so I didn't do that on mine. All right, next we are going to pull off the turn signal light. All right, so turn signal light, and that is going to take the Allen wrench. So I'm going to do that right now. All right, so I have these bolts almost out, and they're pretty long, so when you get them down to the last part, they'll kind of slide down, and it'll drop there. So if you look here, there's a spot. You're going to run the electrical right through that hole, so that this pops right out. Just use a screwdriver, kind of go around it, and that rubber piece will pop right out. All right, so I mounted it first, just barely, as you can see. It goes on the outer, or I guess the inner, I'm sorry, the inner hole, and there's plenty of room for adjustments. So right now I just have it in there, a few threads, has the lock washer there. On this side, the cord's a little bit shorter because it's on this side. So what I did here, from how you saw it originally, so I did pull out this little grommet, this rubber grommet, and then I still have the main that goes to the turn signal. I push the other one back inside, and then I have this one, the one with the purple and black, as you can see, sticking out, and that's the one tied to the switch. So these little this little piece of rubber, you can spray it down with some Windex to make it pop back inside, and then next what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this in. The red goes to the purple, black goes to the black. All right, and then I'll continue on. All right, so you can see here it's kind of wet still. I used Windex just to pop it back in. Have my connectors done. Remember, red goes to purple, black goes to black. Fits very, very tight. So I have no worries about that rattling out or anything. But I am going to wrap it in electrical tape just as a safety precaution. I'm also going to cut off this because that just looks a hot mess. And then I will put in the other 2 bolts for here, one on each side. And then I'm going to tighten it up here. All right, so I'm going to pause it while I do those things. All right, so now I have this electrical taped for safety, just to be sure. And this is going to tuck up here and nestle perfectly inside this cup. So when we remount this cup, you see the spot right there. It's just going to tug right up into that. Now, when I had it paused, you can see I added the back bolts. So I kind of hand put those in so that it can still move because I want to be able to adjust it. But right now I'm going to focus on tightening this bolt here, and that's what the crescent wrench is for. And don't tighten it all the way because you're going to want to kind of get where it's pretty snug, set up the alignment for this, and then you'll want to torque it down. And once you push this all the way up, you'll see there's not much room. So take advantage of it while it's loose to be able to pull that bolt in up as much, up almost to the point where it's tight. All right, so you actually want to make sure it's completely snug because there is not enough room. So make sure that it doesn't have any wobble, it's really tight. Then you're gonna go, you saw it jiggle a little bit, that wasn't the main bracket up here, that was actually these side screws that are still loose. So now that the main bracket's lined up with the center, then I'm gonna stick this in and I'm just gonna tighten these up. Kind of check your alignment to see where you might wanna be. And if you want to turn on the light, which I would recommend, turn it on, see where it looks like it is falling on your garage door or so forth. So make sure that the alignment's right. All right, it's kind of dark, but I just wanted to show you with the garage door down what it looks like. So this is the switch is down here, which I know you can't see. You will be able to see it in a second once I turn the light on. So it's one notch down. That would be like normally your hazards. That it doesn't come on. Do 2, and then you'll see that it lights up. So you'll be able to kind of check and adjust from there. And what's nice about this setup is that it ties it to the same lights like the factory would do. Try to make it brighter. You can see there. But if you switch to the others, it goes off. So the only one it works on is that second one on the switch. And that also is the same one where your backlights are. So you're almost done. Basically what I did now is I just tighten these back up. Make sure that if these popped off, sometimes they kind of stick on because of how tight they were. The rubber washer goes on the bottom, the metal goes on top. Make sure they are tight because you don't want water to leak in. And then basically set this up, put one in first. Make sure that it's not pinching the wire. Right through here there's a slot, just make sure it's in that. Then you can do your second one and you'll be all set. Like you saw in the video with the lights on, instead of those nasty yellow headlights, you'll have a set of very bright LED pure white light. You'll be able to work at night in the ranch just like it was daylight. Well, this was our first video on a how-to with John Deere, but just knowing how few videos there are, it seems like for my tractor, I'm sure that I'm going to keep making some more of that, and for the Gator as well. So leave comments and feedback. Try to make it short, so instead of you seeing every single screw that I screwed in, I can't stand that when I watch a how-to video and it's like 45 minutes long when all I need is the highlights. So have a great day and have a happy week as we are having here on the ranch. Bye.